which is causing land degradation and carcinogenous health issues. I really hope that this conference will be able to bring out the opportunities that are farm bills in a better input and output support to our farmers. The concepts of how FPOs, how purchase centers, which have been set up in UP, how the corporate sector can play an important role in a better price realization and market access to farmers. With this brief introduction, ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite our summit chair, distinguished Professor Swapan Kumar Datta, to address us. Professor Datta is a well-known agricultural scientist, professor of rice biotechnology. He was a former DDG crop science at the ICAR and is very, very well known for his pioneering research on genetic engineering of indica rice. Professor Datta has demonstrated the development of genetically engineered indica rice from protoplast derived from haploid embryonic cell suspension culture. Golden indica rice with enriched provitamin A and ferritin rice with high iron content was developed by his group with a vision to meet the challenges of malnutrition in developing countries. Professor Swapan Datta has been named as one among the top 25 Indian scientists from all fields of sciences. Sir, we are very, very privileged to have you here. I request you to kindly address this group. I request all panelists and speakers to kindly appreciate the timeline. So, because we have a long agenda after this session one, and we request everyone to, be within the timeline. Thank you very much, and Professor Datta, it's over to you now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Srikant Goenka, for your kind words as well as your brief introduction of the subject of RISE Summit. In fact, we are now online right now today for the 6th India RISE Conclave Summit organized by Indian Chambers of Commerce at Kolkata for 25th, 26th November. On behalf of ICC as well as on my behalf, I would like to welcome all the dignitaries, participants, and the media, and all RISE researcher and RISE lovers and stakeholders for attending this important meeting. Even we are in a corona pandemic, very surprisingly, very, very surprisingly, the one sector, agriculture sector, stands tall. In spite of all the difficulties, rice production has increased. Even the acreage has increased. Production has increased. Due to some special reasons, of course, the labor was available because other sectors are almost closed or nearly closed, and the good monsoon. So these two reasons, as well as government policy supporting the particular important crop, we're lucky that we have increased the production in this year, and in coming year also would be doing well. So this is a very positive aspect, even in a pandemic situation of corona. This year, this is the 6th RISE Conclave, and this year particularly highlights a few important issues. Number one, enhancing the productivity of quality rice as we reach to a certain level of quantity. So definitely the quality rice production is an important. And this particular aspect, I'd like to mention that the Green Revolution was successful just because of dwarfing the tall variety, shortening the tall variety of rice as well as wheat, and increasing the tillers by just single gene incorporation, that was successful. Now IRI at Delhi was successfully now applying this technology for reducing the tall height of Govinda Bhog, Kala Namok, and all these tall variety, very premier variety all over India as well as from Bengal. And I have seen them. They are now in the field. They are now shorter in height as well as multiple tillers. So eventually, many quality rice are in the pipeline for tomorrow. They will have higher production without compromising any quality. So the quality of rice, which are less yield, now has been improved and increased with a high yield, and they are in the pipeline to come. So the first agenda of enhancing productivity of quality rice is a very important one. That's the reason I just refer one example, and for particular this aspect. Number two, paddy seed with adaptation of integrated farm practices, which is a very well-known thing. We need to integrate all the modernization of the farm practices need to be integrated. High quality inputs, uh, which is very important no matter, in addition to policy support, the farm machineries, fertilizers, quality of all these things, as Mr. Goenka was mentioned about the water quality and the supply of uninterrupted water for irrigation is also equally important without contamination of arsenic. As Mr. Goenka just mentioned, this is also a serious issue and we need to keep it in mind. Farm credit is an important area, processing, value addition, supply chain system, international market access. That's for many of the earlier summit we discussed about that issue. That's very important that if we have a quality rice and particular rice variety to be exported, and we need to pay attention for that. And by doing that, we can increase the profitability. We can increase the export as well as the income for the farm community. As we know that even just basmati rice, exporting basmati rice, the country is earning almost 4.2 billion US dollar, and non-basmati just half of that, more than 2 billion US dollar. So we can current scenario that the world rice production is more or less not enhanced as compared to the population growth. So that means India has the potential to export even more rice. We are already exporting around 14, 15 million metric tons, and even we can increase further. Now, the other thing is with regard to the international market access, that export subsidies, that's the issue that need some attention. And modernization of rice mills, I think many summit we discussed that matter is an important because India particularly a country of diversified different rice varieties. So the milling system need to be different for different kinds of rice varieties. And also it has to be cost effective and a modern system need to be in place. I think we have outstanding speakers on that subject and they would elaborate on that subject, that how we can make it even more useful for the country. Now, as Mr. Goenka just mentioned, I like to highlight a little bit on that, as Prime Minister announced 20 lakh crore of the special financial package for the country, and almost 2 lakh crore for agriculture and allied areas, and 1 lakh crore even for the infrastructure. So the few areas that the summit will be discussing, and directly or indirectly, infrastructure and other development, the support will come from the central government, will add value to the further development of agriculture. So I think this present summit, all the areas that I just mentioned, that would bring a kind of integrated approach of rice quality production to the market, as well as in the processing system, how we can improve it, as well as now the bran oil is an important area. The bran oil also rich in vitamin E, And now if we can add more such value to that material or utilize those kind of bran oil for the industry purpose also would be an important area. So I believe that all the speakers today and tomorrow, they'll be discussing all of these areas. And I'm sure very good discussions and recommendations will enrich the summit, and eventually that might be useful for submitting those recommendations to the government, state government, as well as central government, as well as for the RISE stakeholders for take-home messages for their own policy as well as for their own development of RISE activities. Thank you very much once again for inviting me to be involved in this particular summit. And I welcome all the participants for their deliberations also. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Datta, for your setting out a very nice outline to making this whole conference quite a must attend, where everyone will learn so much around the area you highlighted. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep pouring in your questions on the chat box. We will have some very interesting conversations happening, and at an appropriate time, the session moderators will bring up your questions. I also want everyone to know that this is opening session where we just have an opening address from some thought leaders. And the main session or the technical session will start after this immediately, where Professor Swapan Datta has kindly consented to be the session chair and moderate that session. I would now like to invite Ma'am Shubha Thakur to kindly address us. Ma'am is an IS officer and is presently posted as the Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Welfare. She is looking after crops and oil seeds division of the Department of Agriculture, Cooperation and Farmers Welfare, and has had very wide experience across various departments and centrally sponsored schemes and how the whole system operates. My personal experience has been inspiring, to say the least. And I'm really privileged to see ma'am has agreed to kindly join our event and address us. So, ma'am, it's over to you now. Thank you.
And thank you for inviting me to this important e-conclave on rice. And I welcome my fellow panelists and all the other participants and delegates present in the meeting today. So a good outline has been set out by both of you. Just I want to place some facts before you that will set a tone for the conference and where we should go from there. So as you all know that though India is the largest producer of rice, but we are still deficient in the productivity and technology to some extent. But despite all our handicaps, in 1819, our area under rice was 441 lakh hectares. Surprisingly, this decreased to 437 lakh hectares in 1920. But even then, our production increased from 1164 lakh tons to 1184 lakh tons. So the production has been increasing steadily. And we notice an increase in the productivity levels from 26.38 quintal per hectare to 27.05 quintal per hectare. And as mentioned by Mr. Datta, that we have been lucky insofar as the monsoon is concerned. So we have a good future ahead also. The production, the figures are good and the estimates are good for the next year. So our production increased by around 1.67% and productivity by 2.54%. So this is the growth trajectory that we are on in rice, and it is increasing day by day. Many states produce rice. All of you know the facts, so I don't need to tell you which states are. The highest area is in UP, but the highest productivity is in Punjab. The government of India has many structured programs for supporting rice production and productivity. You all know we have this National Food Security Mission, which is the main mission for supporting the rice programs. And in that mission alone, we give a allocation subsidy of about 300 crores. Another mission, another program which we have is called the Bringing Green Revolution in Eastern India, BGREI. This was announced in the, I think, 2010 budget. Basically, what happened that since the Green Revolution happened in the western part of India, so we thought to harness the potential of the eastern part of India also, where there is such potential. So the 7 states were identified in eastern India for bringing the Green Revolution, and that program is still going on. And in that, we give 500 crore. So 300 crore in NFSM, 500 crore in BGREI. Apart from this, there is another mission called the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, RKVY, for the states, where the states can choose a cafeteria of schemes. And many states choose rice as a major part of that RKVY. And they give emphasis on rice seed distribution, rice seed production also. And in that itself, the amount which is spent by the states is around 200 crores. So altogether, I've 500, 300, 200, around 1,000 crores given directly by the central government for the rice productivity and production increase. When I review my schemes, where do I find the problems? We have very good research, as Dr. Datta was mentioning. We have very good research. ICR does a wonderful job. And we have very good biofortified varieties also, because now the focus is on biofortification and how to reach this to the farmers, and how the general population can take advantage of these biofortified varieties of rice. 7 varieties have been developed by ICR. And in our missions, we make it mandatory that these varieties should be demonstrated on the farmers' fields, and we allocate around 10% of budget for that. So biofortification and their larger dissemination is an issue for us, and we would like this to happen in a big way. And we'd like to hear how the industry can help and how we can go forward in this. Everybody knows the interventions of the government. We give so much support for seed production, seed distribution, irrigation. Mr. Goenka knows about the irrigation, the support we give, the transfer of technology through the cluster demonstrations, through the frontline demonstrations, involving the KVKs, all the extension workers. A lot of effort is there to for the rice and for the other crops also. And that is why we have done so well. And the government has also created an environment, a large-scale environment, where we have brought these 2 farm acts, and the farm acts have now to be harnessed properly, and especially contract farming which has been liberalized. The APMC, there's a separate parallel APMC, one nation, one market, which has been brought about. So these 2 acts should be harnessed to the full potential by the states. There's a lot of scope, and it will definitely the aim to double the farmers' income and benefit the farmers on the ground level. But what I was mentioning, from lab to land, that still is a weak chain. We have wonderful research, but somehow large-scale adoption is not there, and we need to really focus on how to get the lab to land successful. Although there's a very healthy dialogue between agriculture and ICR, and both of us work in harmony, but there's still a lot needs to be done on that front. I personally feel, when I review my schemes, export is a very good story, both basmati and non-basmati rice. In fact, we export to over 120 countries, if I'm correct. We export quite a lot. The non-basmati variety is showing a huge promise for further exports, and I think we exported around 30,000 crore of basmati rice and around 15,000 crore of non-basmati rice. And But there are certain issues which need to be addressed in the exports also. The Indian product, there are some pesticide residue norms which have to be addressed. Our MSP affects competitiveness of the rice also. And we have high competition from our countries such as China, Thailand, Vietnam, which are doing very well also in their exports. We need to definitely improve our increase in the basmati exports. How is that to be done? What are the problems being faced by the industry? Maybe that can be discussed, how we should do that. And there is a lot of scope for government to government arrangements also. And as Mr. Goenka, I think, was mentioning, the health food segment and the black rice, red rice, organic, that is, we're focusing on that a lot. Also, the brand of India has to be built up. The brand name is somehow not being built up to the potential which we would like to see it being built up. So that is one area which we need to work very hard. And somehow the consumption patterns also have to be studied. There are changing consumption patterns. And so we need to dovetail our cropping patterns to the consumption patterns and not just blindly have the cropping patterns of the past. That needs to be dovetailed properly. The government of India will continue to give focus on rice, but we will, from the next year, we will be more focused on better cropping patterns, for biofortified varieties, and focusing more on the productivity. So with these words, I hand over back to you, Mr. Goenka. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Certainly, these new dimensions that have been added are very relevant concerns, which is how does the brand of India get developed? How do we capitalize on the health food opportunities that are coming up? And I hope our speakers in the technical sessions and tomorrow's sessions are able to address these, because we have 100 participants listening into us and keen to know solutions to these. So today we have actually received a confirmation from Mr. Gagandeep Singh Bedi, who's a very senior IAS officer and the Agriculture Production Commissioner and Principal Secretary, Department of Agriculture, Government of Tamil Nadu. But owing to the cyclone work, he's been he's obviously in one of the districts fighting the cyclone. By the way, he's one of those who had fought the tsunami storm in Kadalur, for which he received many awards. So he's not going to be able to join. I'm now going to therefore conclude this opening session, and we will now start our technical session. Thankfully, a little ahead of time. Usually these conferences begin to run late. I'm happy we are running at the moment before time, and I'm going to request Professor Datta to take on from here the proceedings of the rest of today. Thank you very much to the panelists for the opening session. Professor Datta, it's over to you, sir. Thank you.
Only one request, sir. Mr. Janardhan Reddy will be joining any moment. Okay, so whenever he joins, we will give him the opportunity to speak.
Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
He is joining. We have a word with him just now. He would be joining very soon.
Just one question. Is all other members present today for the presentation? Dr. Prakashan, Dr. Mukund Variar, Dr. Shati Naik, Dr. Shubha Rao, Dr. Dipankar Maiti, and Mr. S.B. Mukherjee. They are all present?
Mr. Mukherjee is not present. He is joining. Rest others are present, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madhumita. And although it's very rare that the session we have time now in advance, that this is one thing in the online, either you have less time or you have more time. Nevertheless, we'll try to use our time the best possible way. Now, the technical session, the first technical session starts with the areas. I believe that different areas covered. I don't need to mention it again. I just mentioned it in my beginning, my speech. But I straight away go to the speaker, Dr. C.V. Prakashan, scientist, agriculture economist, International Rice Research Institute, IRI. And Dr. Prakashan, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yeah, good.
So its floor is yours now.
Thank you.
You can start talking.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I mean, good afternoon. It's a very wonderful, short, very insightful opening section. I really comment on one specific point that Madam Shubha Thakur mentioned. Cropping pattern, that is coping to the consumption pattern. That's actually an excellent kind of remark, wherein some of the technological adoptions, like large scale technology adoptions, are not often not happening, mainly because the demand and the product and the technology that it can offer, the features that it can offer, usually mismatch. And that's a very welcoming step, and hopefully that will bring some kind of transformative changes in the not just rice but on other crops as well. So mainly I focus on today mainly on the production issues and how that is the production issues is coping with the value chain, broader value chain aspects. And we all know there are several traditional factors of production that is that's kind of giving a set of constraints in the production, rice and other crops. Starting from land, and increasingly the issues of land is more of an absentee farming. That's wherein the farming is either controlled remotely by the migrant family member, or it is being given for renting, or not farming at all. But at the same time, the latest the data shows that reconsolidation of land is happening. But at the same time, without having a proper the land rental market, this reconsolidation process will be delayed, which is not a desirable for improving productivity and improving profitability of the agriculture sector. Second traditional constraint is the labor. And specifically, when we look at the labor productivity that's in specifically in rice, which is a very labor intensive crop, compare with any labor productivity in the developed countries, we are very falling short of, almost like 5 to 10 times lower than developed countries. So that's main issue is the man-machine combinations, wherein the labor productivity could be increased significantly by combining the machines into the labor regime. So one of the focus should be on the skilled labor, use of the skilled labor in agriculture sector, rather than the unskilled labors that is dominating at present. Other inputs, like already Mr. Goenka highlighted the use of irrigation. Definitely that's a constraint, but it also have undesirable outcomes. For example, the groundwater usage in Punjab, Haryana. That's kind of showing a judicious use of irrigation water for the rice crop. But I have a personal experience during my in 2007-8 when I was traveling to the field in Karnataka, the northern part of Karnataka. That's when the Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee commissioned the Almaty Dam during that time, and the canal was just opening. It was previously a millet belt area, but suddenly the cropping system changed because of the surface water availability, and the shifting was towards the rice and sugarcane, which was actually not in the cropping plan of that region at all. But we need to look at this very carefully when we look at the resource use. Sorry. And then the other most important constraint which once we address very properly is the information. The extension adversary systems in 1970s, that actually in the TNV system and in introduction of the high yielding varieties, that time the extension of emphasis. Of late, there are two issues came in. One, under focusing of this information provision, and second, flood of information, which in turn kind of like moved to any decision maker in the value chain or the farming community not to trust anymore any information. That's a fundamental issue. So we did a study in flood prone areas in Orissa, Eastern Belt, Orissa, West Bengal, Assam, and Bihar, and we kind of looked at the flood tolerant rice varieties and provided proper information to this farming community and looked at the impacts, and we could see that in only these four states, almost $300 million per year benefits could be derived only by providing accurate information. But at the same time, when I say information, we provide the quality information by virtue of looking at the source and the content of the information. So this will be really critical. And another biggest issue wherein like the information provision as an input, factors of production input is appropriate timing of information. For example, if we can provide information well in advance, taking account of the probabilistic nature of this issue, like for example, a flood or a drought happening, and then and along with that, packaging that information with the technology, that would really help in terms of addressing several of these production issues. And markets, that's already been talked very widely, but we do have an issue, a structural issue of smallholder access to markets. And one main issue is the absence of contract, and it is almost impossible to have contracts with the millions of smallholders, given an exorbitant transaction cost into this contracting. So that's the reason why the schemes, the government's promotion of FPCs, FPOs will play a critical role in this type of like specifically smallholder accessing to markets by the FPCs or FPOs as acting as a conduit of those contract points. Second is like the second issue is in terms of market is the uneven market powers, like the exploitative nature of certain actors in the market, that also would be looked at. I hope like by like one of our studies, we looked at like the contract farming to the individual farmers versus the group, and we see the kind of distribution of the profits towards the group when rather more than when it happens with the individual contracts. So the FPC, FPOs, and the contracting structure, the new contract regulations, etc., that will definitely have a significant impacts on the production, productivity, and distribution of profits. So, and the last section which I'm trying to look at is the credit. Like we looked at the credit at several districts in eastern part, and so the lead bank, the people in the lead bank itself view credit as a variable input. So moving credit beyond variable inputs and as a capital inputs in agriculture is very, very important, specifically to improve the efficiency of the production system. Why? Because agriculture investment, if the credit is confined to only to one crop season, the seasons, and paying back, there will be a lot of issues in terms of long-term investments. We looked at the fallow areas in the eastern ecology and found that almost 30% of farmers who are having certain types of irrigation access, at least for supplementary irrigation access, are unable to do cropping in the second season. Mainly they cited the timely availability of the credit. So this also has to be looked at fairly very well in terms of production. So moving beyond the traditional factors of production, we also need to look at information and credit as a big impact on the productivity issues. So I conclude here. Probably other sides, like how that could be linked to value chain, may be a topic for tomorrow. Thank you. Over to you, Prasad Datta.
Thank you, Dr. Prakashan. You made a very nice message that certain social aspect and as well as government policy, how they integrated and can be helpful to rice farmers and rice community. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation. Now, I would like to record.
Thank you.
Time, and he's at the moment serving as state coordinator IRI Odisha project. Dr. Garrier, are you there?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Professor Datta. This is a privilege to be with you this afternoon. And thanks to the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry for inviting me for this presentation. Yes, since last 4 years, I have been working here in Odisha, coordinating a project by IRI with the support of the government of Odisha. I will be talking mostly about the experience IRI had in Odisha for the last 4 years. It is very relevant to the subject matter of today's discussion. First, I would like to say that both Ma'am Shubha Thakur as well as Professor Datta has mentioned about the good monsoon for this year. But we shouldn't forget, and we normally do not, that climate resilience happens to be the most important factor for stable productivity of rice and other crops as well. And so the project that we handle in Odisha is mostly on climate resilient rice varieties that perform stably in farmers' fields. What is the important aspect of this is that the varieties are developed, but it reaches the farmers and it takes a lot of time. So addressing the gap between varietal development and adoption, what do we do here is to infuse the stress-tolerant varieties, which we call STRVs, into the system through different demonstrations so that the farmers are aware of it and they take up the material, they take up the seeds faster. So how to reach millions of farmers within a very short period of time was the effort. So that we will use as an example how we were able to push the stress-tolerant rice in Odisha, and the amount of rice seeds that are available today has grown phenomenally in the last 5 years. What was the intervention that we did? The breeders have already released the variety, but it has not reached the farmers. The number of demonstrations that through the BGREI that is conducted, NFSM and other schemes are there. Of course, they are there, but it takes time. So what do? Can we have more focal points where these varieties are introduced through cafeteria? Sometimes when we have these coordinated testing done for different situations, and Orissa is a very good example where we have uplands, medium lands, lowlands, and different situations. What we need to do is here to selectively focus different varieties for these locations. So a set of varieties, about 10 to 15, probably suitable for a particular location in inlands of Orissa or the coastal region of Orissa, are introduced in the form of a cafeteria where the farmers, other stakeholders are invited to select those when the crop is ready for evaluation. That's the first step. Along with that, the agronomic performance. So out of the 10 or 15 varieties that are evaluated, which are recently released and evaluated by the stakeholders, the few that are selected are given to farmers to test on their own fields as head-to-head trials or triadic comparisons, where the farmer compares his own cultivated commercial variety with the new introductions under his own management conditions. Thirdly, the cluster demonstrations of 5 to 10 hectares rather than a larger area that is the norm in case of BGREI trials. Cluster demonstrations are of 5 to 10 hectares, which are conducted in more locations. So we conducted about 20,000 hectares the last 5 years. So these are the ways with which we are taking the new seeds to the farmers' field, along with quality seed production training. Quality seed production training with the help of the NGOs who have the last mile connectivity. We take help of those NGOs to do this work. Along with the NGO partners, we also engage the dealers of seed in different blocks and the well-distributed system, where we provide these seeds initially to the seed dealers to create a demand from the farmers. The next step is to facilitate the conversion of breeder seed into foundation seed and certified seed, with facilitating the procurement of breeder seed for which is not generally available for new varieties. So help with the multiplication of foundation seed and make it available to the Orissa State Seed Corporation. So these were the efforts in the seed sector that we tried in the last 4 years. And I should say that the amount of seed that has been made available to the farmers and the compound annual growth rate, if you look at one example, let us say Bina Dhan 11, which was introduced in 2016. Today it is growing, it is taking a share of about 5% in the breeder seed production chain. The seed production chain. So within about 5 years, that the compound annual growth rate has been very substantial, more than 2,000%. And that is one example that I wanted to talk about today, about how we can increase the seed system, improve the seed system through focused demonstrations, farmer participation, and then facilitating the seed production or conversion from breeder seed to foundation seed and making it available to the farmers. Next one is that what are the chances of improving the productivity along with the stress tolerant varieties? The recent technological changes that has been taken place, the soil health card is a government scheme and the farmers have been using it extensively, but then are there better ways to do it? Can we incorporate the seed health recommendations into a readily available app, web app, which the farmer can access and have a site-specific management for his field based on a few parameters that he provide to the app, to the server. For example, what is the variety that he has been growing, what has been the average yield that he has been obtaining, what kind of land type it is, whether it is upland, midland, and lowland. So based on some of the answer to some of these queries, the rice crop manager site-specific management program gives a recommendation to the farmer as to what is the amount of fertilizer and when it is to be applied, what kind of management he should do. This is one thing that helps the farmer to have site-specific nutrient application, rationalizing the nutrient use. What we have seen is that in the last 5 years, with thousands of data that is accumulated, we see that about 400 to 500 kilograms additional yield is obtained And when these stress-tolerant varieties are combined with RCM, there is a possibility to increase further to about 1 ton per hectare without any additional change in the system. So these are the two, infusing the seeds in the system, as well as a rationalized site-specific nutrient management system that is boosting the yields at least by 1 ton per hectare in the state of Odisha under different situations. This RCM is not only for coastal area or for the upland area. It's site-specific and it addresses the requirement of each farmer's field. Now, as an improvement over this, we are using the satellite-based imagery, the NDVI of a particular location to see whether we can give a recommendation based on NDVI alone. We need not even go to the questioning, to the queries to the farmer, whether what is the kind of land situation that he has got, what variety he is growing. So what we are looking at is the satellite imagery, the NDVI of the previous season to suggest the fertilizer recommendation for the next year. This is the stage of development, but we will be able to come up with recommendations in future. Then there is a substantial area under fallows after the rice harvest. This is lying about 2 million hectare in Odisha is lying fallow after the harvest of rice. What is the possibility of using the residual moisture that is available with the harvest of an early duration variety to grow a second crop of pulses or oil seeds? That was one attempt that we have made. We found that with the introduction of short duration varieties of green gram and black gram, it is possible to take up another crop and get at least 700 to 800 kilograms of green gram harvested without a drop of water added. That is one the research that we have been doing. So these are some of the activities that we have taken up, and more importantly, the fourth one, and which I will not be discussing many other aspects of the project, only things that are relevant. One is the establishment of a what do you call the farmer producer company. What we thought was that, is it possible to decentralize the seed production system so that the availability of seeds, whether it is for rice, pulses, or oil seeds, are ensured locally within the district or within a smaller area where it can be produced collaboratively, collectively by farmer collectives, particularly women, and make it available through a local processing center and brand it and make it available to the nearby localities. That is one thing that we tried in the last 4 years, and it has come out very successfully in the district of Kalahandi. This is only a model that we established, so we can think about it later as to what is the possibility of increasing it, because the government of India is also interested in increasing the number up to 10,000, but then we need to be very focused on what kind of FPZs we need to establish, what are the hand-holding that are required for establishment and its continued activities. So the one that we have established is already producing substantial quantities of seed, particularly rice, with the help from the State Department of the Orissa Seed Certification Agency, which evaluates and tests, evaluates these seeds that are being grown by the FPC, and it is certified, it is branded, and it is sold. It is a success story in the last 3 years that we have done this. They have also started retail services for these farmers and also input services. So it's this collective action is making a lot of difference in the lives of these women. I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Warrier, for your excellent presentation of your vast experience of different varieties, their screening and their adaptation in the specific ecosystem. Thank you very much. If there are questions, and we would get back to you. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Now, the next presenter is Dr. Shati Nayak, who is a senior scientist working on seed systems and product management. She also works for IRI. Dr. Shati Nayak.
Thank you, Dr. Datta.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Please.
Datta. Thank you to the organizers and all the guests. Thank you for this opportunity. And already there have been like a lot of ground being set, and many things have been highlighted and presented by earlier panelists, and also the overview has been given by the moderator. Having drawn experience from the seed system and product management space, and what we have been doing in IRI and also in collaboration with other CGIAR and important NARS organizations. So what we have been looking at this space, that we all are aware that the success of green revolution rests on a lot of promising product development in past, and a successful dissemination and adoption of those to realize the genetic gain potentials of those varieties over the period of time. However, until and unless we advance, replace, position these promising products in the seed chain or the seed systems, so I think the impacts cannot be realized as much as we aim to achieve. And as an institution, as a scientific research and development organization in the agriculture sector, one of the core aim, our impact goals should be like, enabling farmers to make their own product choices and ensure the availability of quality seeds for the consumer preferred products. Now, this transition of from the varieties to products needs to be also established in a very systematic manner. That why we have been talking about of late now about seed system and product management, not just like varietal management or varietal advancement or something sort of that. Because here what we have been trying to do that work on the market demand side and make this entire product management and seed system market driven rather than the traditional approach of making it a overtly supply driven process. As we are aware that when we talk about small and marginal farmers, their reliance on high volume crops like cereals, including rice, and high yielding varieties are much more, and probably that is the reason why so far, amidst all the challenges and issues, public programs, government investments, state seed corporations, bodies like national seed corporations, they play critical role in a country like India, because not always it's that like the products which are high value products led by privates would be feasible for the millions and millions of small and marginal farmers. So how we as Agriculture Research for Development Organization, the NARS network, the entire product development or breeding network, and the CG centers, how we make this entire system a demand-driven system that will contribute a lot to the future success. And while I move forward on this, it is very important that we just also have a look at it, that what has been the key gaps or the needs in the space of seed systems or product management at a large in our country. We know that even though varieties of products developed in past has contributed to the productivity gain, but still we see a very slow-paced varietal replacement rate and seed replacement rate in our country. And as we know, for the most of the high volume crops and the farmer managed seed system, the informal seed systems almost capture 60 to 70% of the market share if we talk about all the seed volumes being circulated. And probably there has not enough been done to capitalize, leverage that potential, that traditional know-how, that strong social network established. And probably that is one of the reasons why now government programs and investment are highly focusing on community enterprise related models, FPCs or FEOs and other enterprises which are led by community, because we see a great potential over there, and probably we have never been able to leverage those things to strengthen the seed system to ensure the access of promising products to the last mile farmer. And when I say product, it has to be the product of choice, because otherwise we again struggle in the supply driven mode, and where the farmers needs to get the right product at her door, the right place and at the right time. While we do so, that here we need to consider that seed works in a very niche market segment, and there are multiple and diverse market segments operating where different products or varieties will fit into. And until and unless we have a robust product management strategy, and the advancement efforts for varieties or products will not be successful. And this is what we have missed in our traditional approaches. And at the same time, technical information in hands of the key determinant stakeholders on the varieties to create demand and informed choices are also need to be there. And at the same time, optimal strategy to position the product in the right market, priority market segment, and to capture the dynamic market demand, which is changing very frequently, is also something which we need to look at it. And while we think about a market-driven system for the varieties and product advancement or seed system or scaling of the products in the seed system, we cannot completely ignore the supply. And when I say about the supply chain, the upstream EGS, early generation seed supply system, is one of the area where we need to work more coherently and strongly. In past years, like a lot of landmark policy reforms have been done in the way of how germplasms import, promising varieties now freely move across the border, thanks to the Seed Without the Border agreement, where government of India, Nepal, Bangladesh, now Cambodia, Vietnam, 7 to 9 countries have been part of this. And with those reformative policies, we now have those boundaries being unleashed. And while those boundaries are being narrowed, it is important that the key stakeholders take up this ownership, and our early generation seed management system, whether it is breeder seed and foundation seed supply, for the making the products positioned very robustly in the market which we have been targeting. And as I said, that the informal seed system, very promising, very potential, but underdeveloped, and a lot of quality parameters and absence of quality standardization processes, knowledge and awareness among the farming community, that misses out. And at the same time, we see that in the high volume crops like rice or any cereals and other crops, we do see there are a lot of presence of a small players, small and medium enterprises who work in the seed sector. They have been critical actors in the seed chain. However, unlike large MNCs in seed MNCs or the large private sector players, they are not equipped with them, market intelligence tools, or they have their limited capacities in terms of knowledge about new products, promising products, their sourcing. And at the same time, some of these challenges also remain with the state corporations. So how do we bridge this gap to keep them competitive enough? And in many regions, and also the private seed networks are not much evolved. So how we address those gaps would be our factors determining the success moving forward. And while we have identified some of these gaps and needs, and I would like to also highlight what could be our scopes and boundaries, where we could work on our intervention, or where we can channelize our interventions or strategies. Definitely, one of the important area here is the working in the input market and the seed chain actors, and as well as the institution, in a more coherent manner, bridging the gap between the from the product development team to product advancement, as well as the mainstream extension system, which takes care of the product deliveries to the farmers or the end users. Those gaps need to be also worked upon. And while we say that we need to have a robust product management system, and I would like to segregate that. How do we see those things? When we talk about a product management system, if I simplify it, the thing we can segregate it into a 3-stage process. One is our product introduction and product advancement. The second is product positioning, and the third is life cycle management. So when we talk about product advancement or product introduction, there is a need how we standardize different neutral or unbiased product validation systems by making partnership with our research and development and extension wings, be it KVK systems, be the NAS stakeholders, and lot of extension agency, grassroots NGOs who are working in the development agriculture development sector. How do we standardize those product validation system to make a systematic entry into a target market segment? And while I will not go into the breeding part, maybe the other experts will be doing, like now we are shifting our focus of product development, making it market segment driven. Like we have been identifying the target markets or the priority market segments, and we probably are getting into the towards that. But as a seed system and product management specialist, I will take how do we advance it systematically, where, as I said, the first step could be the systematic product validation systems and introduction, and then it will be the product positioning. And while we do these things, how do we do it, like create the demand and awareness? Dr. Mukund Warrier had given some of the examples of some innovative platforms for creating knowledge as well as awareness or demand among critical market stakeholders, be it client-oriented varietal cafeterias, participatory varietal selection or exhibition processes, including men, women, engaging market players like millers, dealers, and private seed enterprises in the product advancement or product evaluation processes, and also, equipping them a lot of knowledge and information base in form of developed product profiles, like what this product looks like and what are its weakness, what are its strength, and making them aware to create that demand mass. So what products are positioned in a targeted market and or the targeted suitable geography and ecology, then comes like how we maintain, how we manage its life cycle, because it is also very important, because as we say, we keep on talking and we keep on struggling on this area of varietal replacement rate. It happens probably because we never think of, in the very early stage, how do we manage the life cycle of the product? So what are the life cycle? What is the tentative life cycle we want to see, and how do we replace that, and if to replace, what needs to be done? So that entire circular feedback system needs to be going to the product development teams like the breeders, and that system needs to be established, collection of scientific data, evidence, but at the same time from all these critical market stakeholders which we talked about, be it farmers, be it millers, dealers, seed agencies, those feedbacks needs to go back into the entire product development process, so that we actually reduce down the time lag that happens between the development of a product and its advancement or scaling in a seed chain. Because if we go by our traditional systems, then by the time a product takes the position in the seed chain or scaled in the seed chain, actually it is reaching to the end of its life cycle, and we are talking about improved varieties, and we're talking about we should be talking about the new varieties. So how do we bridge this gap, like this time lag, reduce from a say so-called 7 to 10 years to say 3 to 4 years of time span, so that the newer product what evolves due to the market demands or update dynamic market demands get placed in a staggered fashion and in a good momentum, so that we achieve this varietal replacement. And while we address varietal replacement, we also need to ensure that quality seed access is one of the most important criteria if we talk about productivity gain. And along equipped with proper management practices and other linkage support, so like in terms of credit linkage, financial support, and other aspects, at the end of the day, the last mile farmer should have access to quality seeds of his or her choice. And to ensure that we need to be engaging with both the formal and informal sector institutions as well as actors. So enterprises like if I about especially informal sector enterprises like farmer producer companies or a community-based organization around seed production need to be handheld very strongly, equipping them with different market demand estimation tools, market intelligence systems, and digital solutions, and all those things would be a critical way to go forward. And handholding them on the technical side, but as well as also value chain aspect, because many people struggle, many institutions struggle reaching the when they reach the value chain stage. And so equipping them in business development domain, training and capacitating these institutions, handholding them strongly would be a key to ensure that seed supply system access availability is ensured. At the same time, EGS should not be ignored. The early generation seed supply system in the formal chain needs to be handled and done in a more efficient and in a consistent manner in partnership with all the critical NARS and the breeding network. And so to close my things like what I say, to summarize it, not that new varieties are not competitive or not relevant to farmers or consumer needs, but often like the poor varietal replacement or seed replacement are due to the fact that product knowledge creation and documentation is not happening the way it should happen. So that profiling exercise needs to be taken care. And there has to be a system to transfer and communicate those knowledge to farmers and other key seed chain actors and stakeholders in a very timely manner. At the same time, sufficient infrastructure provisioning, sufficient incentive systems to produce different types of seeds at different stages is also one of the key areas we need to focus while moving forward in this direction. So that's all from my end to sum up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nayak. You made a very nice presentation, a very complicated subject, system development, like system biology. Once we know everything, then we talk about system biology. So system also a part of like that how to manage the marketable, visible, commercially adaptable material. At the same time, farmers' incentive also there. So lots of complications, but at the end of the day, this is important that we need to understand as well as we need to follow it. So once again, thank you, Dr. Nayak. We'll get back to you if there are any questions and comments arises from your talk. Once again, thank you, Dr. Nayak. Now we move to the next speaker, Dr. L.V. Subbarao, very old friend of former TRR. Now it is the name ICR, Indian Institute of Rice Research. Very difficult to remember, but we always talk about TRR or CRRI. Nevertheless, during my time, the initiation started, and now the name is Indian Institute of Rice Research. So, Subbarao.
Sir.
So it's your talk now. How are you?
Sir. Sir, I'm fine, sir. It's great to see you, sir, after a long time. Sir, if you permit me, I'd like to share my presentation, sir. Can I?
Sure, definitely. Please do so. You look the same, excepting you got a huge hair. Now it got a little bit reduced, but still you have plenty.
Sir. Sir, 1 minute I'll take, sir.
No problem. You take time. It's fine.
This is it.
Yeah, it has come. You make a presentation mode.
Sir, it has come, no, sir?
Yes, it has come, but you make it presentation mode so that it can give you more space. Yes. No, it's gone.
I'm doing, sir. I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah. Close. Now make it.
Now it is.
Slide mode. Yes. Okay.
Sir, Honorable Datta sir, and other distinguished delegates. I know Swati, Mukund sir, and other distinguished delegates. It's my privilege to share some of my views. On contrary to the earlier speakers, I made a small presentation, mostly from the researcher's point of view. I'll be sharing those things with you. But it's a quite learning process to me, because the issues which were dealt till now are mostly related to translating the product, and then how best it is utilized by the ultimate farmer or consumer. Sir, I made my presentation into 4 parts. I'll be talking about importance. I needless to say to everybody. Of course, challenges for the rice production, and then enhancing the yield potential, and then finally the availability of the quality seed and its adaptability. What about which just now Swati concluded. Sir, rice is life. I think I did not highlight much about this, but it is a way of living for the Indian population, sir. Cultivation of rice is their way of life. That's what I would like to highlight here. Sir, what I would like to see in this slide is our productivity is still dwindling around 2.7 tons per hectare, while our neighboring countries are much ahead of us. This is what we should keep in our mind. I'm only talking about our neighboring countries. They're all above 3. Sir, the decennial rolling growth rate of area and yield, when we just analyze, it has dipped down some time back, but now it is slowly coming up. What I would like to say here is we should maintain minimum of 2% growth rate in yield, sir. Then only we will be able to meet the targets in the future. Sir, the average in the last, say, 10 years, I just tried to show. Of course, it is showing increase, but the increase, it should be in tune with the population growth. Sir, when we look at the yield in different parts of the country, we can see only in Punjab and Haryana is really good. Of course, South is little better compared to the other parts. But there are a lot of gray areas where 3,000 is also not achievable, is on today, even today. Sir, when we look at the exports, yes, Madam Thakur also mentioned, and then Goenka sir also talked about exports. You also mentioned, sir. Though now I think we surpassed the other Asian countries like Thailand and Vietnam in the non-basmati sector, but still a lot is to be done in the basmati and non-basmati sector, sir, when it comes to exports. Sir, what challenges we are facing, we all know that climate is a major problem, but declining resources, we have the problem of land, labor, and water, but the population is a major problem for us apart from the change in the climate. We are going to touch 1.7 billion by 2050. Sir, every year this is a common scenario in India. Most of the places when we want rain, there is no water. People look at the sky for the monsoon. But when we have a good crop, there is again flood uncertainty, whether we get the crop which is in the field will come to the home or can we take it to the market yard. That's a big question. These are the uncertainties. Apart from that, we have been seeing the change in the pest scenario right from 1965, where only 3 pests were measured. Now it has touched 19. Of course, 19, but major are still remaining 4 to 5. So pest scenario is also kept on changing, with increasing number of varieties and then years of cultivation. Same is the case with the diseases. These are the threats, pressures we have. Apart from that, unlike other countries like China, where the productivity is very high, we have the major problem of various ecologies, sir. We have irrigated hardly say 50%. Remaining ecologies are, I should say, harsh ecologies. And then our productivities, I feel that is the reason why productivity is still coming down, though there is a remarkable achievement in certain sectors. Sir, when we look at the future, how are we going to address when the population reaches almost 1.7 billion by year 2050? Sir, here I try to show zone wise, because in acre price we divided the country into 7 zones: hill zone, northwestern part, eastern zone, northeastern part, like that. But what I would like to say here is that by 2030 we should be able to produce 130. Even now 1920 we have some shortage. We are only 118 million tons. The expected should have been 121 point something. So approximately 4 million ton shortage is there. So keeping that, are we geared up to meet the challenge of producing 168 million tons by the year 2050 when the population touches almost 1.7 billion? Sir, then what are the ways we have for enhancing the yield potential? Of course, we all know that I don't want to go very deep into this, sir. You are a pioneer in this. Sir, I say that pre-breeding should be given top priority, and then utilization of the wild species. Now it is a big treasure which till now we did not do, sir. Now off late we started making the deriving the useful traits from the wild species, and also we should broaden the genetic base, sir. When we analyze the total varieties, sir, as on today we have around 1400 varieties released in the country, of which when we worked out the genealogy, it is really heartening to know that very narrow genetic base. Unless and otherwise we broaden the genetic base, we are not going to meet the target, sir. Second thing is that now we are hardly able to get 7 tons, 6 tons in some of the irrigated areas, and of course boro. But our target should be 10 tons. Then only in the 4 mega environments like irrigated, shallow lowlands, boro, and also rain-fed lowlands, where there is a lot of potential. Sir, hybrid rice technology, of course, last 30 years we have been trying, but the development is not the way it was expected, sir. Almost more than 3 decades we spent. Hardly we have 3.5 million hectares of area under hybrids. Though there is the increment of 10 to 15% of heterosis, still much has to be achieved. Otherwise, farmers are not going to accept our hybrid rice technology, sir. And of course, nowadays everybody is talking about climate resilience, because we know that climate is changing and we need to gear up to meet the changing climate. Sir, at this point of time, I would like to say we should use the balanced strategy of both conventional breeding as well as the modern breeding technologies. We have good number of advanced breeding biotechnological tools. We should make use of that. Sir, we are also very rich in the genetic resources. Look at this, sir. We are I think in this region, South Asian region, we have the highest genetic resources after the IRRI. Sir, I want to take only 1 or 2 slides about this pre-breeding and research part. I'm not going to touch myself. But at this institute, we started, this was started 2-3 years back only, utilizing the wild species for pre-breeding. We have targeted Glaberrima, Rufipogan, and then Nivara, sir. Good number of genes are now identified. We have BC2F4 population, sir. I would like to share with you that this time we also shared several of these lines to all our cooperating centers, the segregating population, to make use in their breeding programs. And similarly, sir, we also have this NAM population with IR64 and Glaberrima. It's a rich treasure, sir, for the yield traits, definitely yield enhancing traits, with competitive traits, both biotic and abiotic stress tolerance traits. Sir, now mass is very handy. We should focus. Of course, we are utilizing the mass. We have developed some varieties here at IARR, and several other institutions are also doing that. And then we are mainly focusing both on abiotic and biotic stress, of course, grain quality too. And we have several yield equitals available, and then they are being in progress. Sir, one example I would like to cite here, sir, because of the advantage what we have, the genes for the BLB. Sir, these are the areas where bacterial leaf blight is very serious problem, hotspot locations. So we have the genes, and then these are the states where BLB is a very serious problem of all the rice growing states. So the available genes, we could successfully introgress 3 genes for the BLB into a popular variety, Samba Mashuri, because it is preferred by the farmers as well as the consumers because of its three excellent characters, sir. Best milling, best cooking, and best keeping. These are the 3 qualities which made it premium, and also it is fetching very good price in the market. That Sama Masuri is taken because it is very susceptible to BLB. 3 genes are interacted successfully with, there is no yield penalty, sir. We are getting quite comfortable yield. And then fortunately, it is found out to be very low glycemic index variety. After this interrogation, probably this is a bonus point what we got. Glycemic index of 50.9. When the madam was making a mention, Thakur madam was talking that she also touched upon the healthy food, sir. Goenka was also was talking about healthy foods. We need now diabetic friendly and then biofortified rices. This is one variety which has got very low glycemic index. And of course, sir, with the help of some financial support, I will also tell at the end of this a success story, how we could popularize that. Sir, coming to our ECRIP, sir, you are well aware of this system that we have well knit ECRIP system involving several institutions in the ICR system and all agricultural universities in the country, apart from institutions like IRRI, NGOs and private industry. It's a big network of more than 200 scientists working all over the country in different areas. Sir, I will not touch much upon this because this ECRIP system, how we are testing the varieties in all the, we have a certain criteria based on that we are promoting. So the final outcome of this ECRIP system is, sir, we have around 1400 varieties released as on today, of which around 120 are the hybrids. There are different ecologies for which varieties and hybrids are released. Sir, most of the varieties released constitute around 48% of the varieties released are for the irrigated ecology, remaining 52% for various ecologies. Say, sir, because irrigated ecology, we say we have almost reached the yield plateauing. We need to break the yield in irrigated ecology. Of course, there is a lot of scope for us to improve the yield in the rain-fed ecology. Sir, coming to the hybrid rice, as I mentioned at the beginning, in the last, say, ever since the hybrid rice program launch, we have reached now around 3.5 million hectares. That is not sufficient time. We need to still go ahead. Unless and otherwise we increase the heterosis, we cannot reach the farmers more, sir. Sir, Madam also talked, you also mentioned about the now need of the hour, sir. Even Honorable Prime Minister also mentioned that we need to have biofortified rice variety, biofortified varieties. In rice, we have, I gave 11, sir. Now we have 12 varieties, sir. There is a latest release in this year from our NRRA, that is CR Than 315, high zinc variety. So these are the varieties with protein. There are 2 varieties, and then several of them are for high zinc, sir. Sir, utilizing the MAS program, we have developed both biotic and abiotic stress tolerant varieties. There are good number of varieties for biotic stresses. Sir, we have now genes available for blast, BLB, gallmeat. Of course, we are now trying with no product has come out as a released variety for the BPH, but product is in the pipeline, sir. BPH also we can get a variety with the now genes. And drought and the submergence, we have very good number of varieties, sir. This DRR Than 50 is again with both submergence and then drought tolerance we have, sir. And there are several varieties for submergence and then drought. This is I should say that in the last, say, around 10 years, we have very good achievement in the varietal front. Some of the varieties which were released in India are also released in other Asian countries. Sir, Swati was also mentioning about the tripartite agreement what we had with Nepal, Bangladesh, and other countries. Whatever the varieties like Bina 11, Mukund also mentioned about Bina 11, now Bina 17, Bina 69, 75, which were released in another country with the advantage of the tripartite agreement. We also could released in our country. They are now in the seed production chain. Sir, coming to the seed availability and the adaptability about which we are now talking. Sir, this is the basic system what we are following in our country, like the routine formal system of breeder, foundation, certificate. But sir, there is most informal system which is going on that is catering to the needs of more than 70% of the farming needs of the seed. So this is the supply chain, what we are the formal system. DSE is getting all the indents and then it is passing on to the ICR, and then ICR is allotting to the respective institutions, and then breeder seed is produced. There is no problem, sir. Breeder seed is produced, but number of varieties in the breeder seed production has been off late started increasing plus 200. Sir, we say we have 1400 varieties released in the country as of now. Hardly we have 280, 230 varieties. Majority of the new varieties are not coming into the production chain. Swati was also talking about the adoption lag, and Thakur madam also talked about that adoption lag, sir. That is where we should now address, sir. See, when we look at this, most of the popular varieties, sir, there are a handful of varieties, 10 to 15 varieties, which are, see, of the 220, 280 varieties, hardly handful of varieties are taking the major share in the breeder seed production chain. This is one thing where the new variety, sir, you can see the Jaya, more than 55 years old, Jyoti, several of the varieties are more than 40 years, 30 years old varieties. What is happening to the new releases? Why this? This is where I want to show you, sir, varieties which are more than 5 years old, and then varieties which are more than 10 years old, less than 10 years old. I just compared with the other crops like wheat. Of course, wheat is in a better position. So when it compared with the wheat, rice is not in the rice is lagging behind. The varieties which were not, which did not complete 10 years or which did not complete 5 years, hardly 14%, sir, hardly 14%. And then in wheat, it is at least 50% of the varieties. Sir, what I would like to highlight here is, sir, the new varieties which are released, they should come into the seed production chain as early as possible, and then they should go to the varietal replacement. Then only we can have this varietal replacement rate fast. There is a very big time lag in the adoption process here, sir. Varieties are there, they are getting released. They are having yield advantage. They are having resistance to major biotic stresses. They are having quality concerns. There are nutritionally rich varieties. But where are they, sir? They are not getting translated onto the farmer's field. Sir, our seed sector has got a lot of strength. We have more than 17 public sector seed corporations, and then biggest NFC with SFC also joined that. And ICR, I say, is very big network, but still, 70% of the requirement of the farmer seed is going in the informal system. And then though there are more than 200-300 private companies, big MNCs, only they are concentrating on low volume crops, not on the high volume crop, because this is a low value, high volume crop. They are only concerned about hybrids. Hybrid rice is hardly 3.5 million hectares of area, even after 3 decades of hybrid rice introduced in the country. Sir, challenges, what we say for the food security, Swati was also talking about, Mukund was telling, earlier honorable speakers also talked, the availability of this quality seed in right time, at right place, in adequate quantities is very important, sir. Adequate quantities, right time and right place. Example, if you take the hybrid rice, it is produced somewhere in Telangana, Karimnagar and Warangal. The area in hybrid rice is in eastern India. So the transportation and then time lag, the availability is definitely a mismatch. And then a proper guidelines through intellectual property now, varietal protection has come in a big way. The farmers' issues are there. And then there should be a comfortable marriage between the Seed Act and the farmers' protection of PPFRS. There are some issues are contradicting. And then inadequate, this Mukund also mentioned, sir, we need HR we need human resources. They need to be trained properly in the seed development, seed production, seed distribution, and then Swati was talking about demand demand estimation tools. She was talking about demand estimation tools. So rightly, it is definitely required, sir. We do not know where exactly which is preferred by a particular set of farmers or region. So a demand estimation tools need to be worked out, and then based on that, we need to train the people involved in the seed production, seed marketing, seed distribution, and infrastructure for post-harvest process. Sir, we need to have mobile processing units also. Seed processing front, we are taking a back seat. Sir, and strategies, as I said, we need to have refined the production technology when it comes to hybridized seed. Of course, varietal seed also, availability of the quality seed. There is definitely a change after ICR introduced the mega seed project, sir. Before, the scenario was very, very bleak. Now it's slowly started improving, but it is not sufficient. We need to involve, as Swati and Mukind also mentioned, of course, Prakash was also talking about, we need to have some FPOs, FPCs, and then a lot of NGOs, and then other seed cooperatives. They should be trained properly in seed production and then seed distribution and marketing. And then transfer of technology, that is most important thing. Madam Thakur talked about lab to land. Sir, we have good products. Definitely we need to improve. The achievements what we made in the varietal improvement is definitely good, but we should not be complacent. But whatever we achieved is not translated properly under the land. That has to be highlighted, sir. So there are several models, and then our extension specialists are talking about integrated demonstrations, and then cluster demonstrations, and then several other things. I just discussed with our extension specialists and then taken some example where we need to have head-to-head trials, and then crop cafeteria. Mukund was talking all the time about crop cafeteria, and then evidence hubs, and then demos through dealers, and then village representatives. All such things. It should be a sort of integrated approach to demonstrate the product. As Swati was talking about demand estimation tools, and then product positioning is also equally important, sir. Wherever the demand is there for a particular product, we should be able to demonstrate properly, yes, that for your demand, this is a product available. This gap needs to be bridged, sir. And then there are several partnerships are coming up nowadays. Of course, KVKs are coming up in a big way to help us. Definitely, we are taking the help of KVKs in demonstrations of the both varietal technologies and production and protection technologies. But something else needs to be done, sir, because I would like to take two examples. What Madam Thakur was talking, how much money was spent for RPVA, how much money was spent for NFSM, and one thing else he was telling from 500 crores for bringing green revolution in the Eastern India. So more than 1,000 crores of rupees are spent, sir. I like to show one example here, sir, with of course, this is public-private partnership is required. Sir, here I'll come to this success story, what we practically implemented at our IIRR. This improved Sama Masuri. Of course, it is developed in partnership with the CSIR, sir, CCMB. So they are supporting us in popularizing a small amount of 20 lakhs per year. With the 20 lakhs, we produce a lot of seed, more than 20-30 quintals of every year, tons of seed. And then we packed in a beautiful package with information printed on that, saying that it is tolerant, resistant to bacterial leaf blight, and then low glycemic index variety, and without any yield penalty, as good as the Sama Masuri. And then in the states of Chhattisgarh, UP, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana, we gave more than 10,000 demonstrations, sir. That is, 10 kg seed is given at the free of cost. With a package, what is to be followed. Sir, this is that Sama Masuri variety, what you are seeing with bacterial blight infected, and then this is improved Sama Masuri with the resistance to bacterial leaf blight disease. So these kind of I think a small, very small investments by making available to the farmers wherever. Sir, what we did, we tried to identify wherever the locations are susceptible to bacterial leaf blight through KVKs, through our equip centers, and then we got the data, and then we supplied the seed at free of cost to these people, free of cost. So now it is around 2.5 lakh hectares of area it occupied. So more than 10,000 demonstrations. Our investment is only 10 kg of seed at free of cost to the farmer. So such kind of probably interventions to translate the product what we have and to take to the farmer's field maybe of some help. This is all what I would like to share with you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Subbarao. Very comprehensive presentation and with all detailed information. Looks like you now gained that much of experience for what you could present, make an entire rice story from the production, science, constraints, and the potential for the future development, as well as what are the difficulties. So every aspect you covered with a very lucid language and comprehensive way. Thank you again.
Thank you
very
sir.
much. I really enjoyed your talk. Made a real good presentation of entire things in a simple manner. Well, from IRR to now we'll go to NRI, National Rice Research Institute. Another very veteran rice scientist, Dr. Dipankar Maiti, who is presently director of the Institute of, which is former Kotak Rice Research Institute or Central Rice Research Institute, whatever we call it, but the name is NRRI. Now we got to used to this, and but anyway, it has been made and people got to used to it. So, Dr. Maiti, so it is now the challenge is yours. Shubha Rao made an excellent comprehensive presentation. You have to give the challenge to Shubha Rao or DRR to NRI or CRRI.
It was a great challenge for me.
Anyway, you are the last but one speaker. I think Janardhan Reddy probably has come. We'll see. But anyway, it is now you to make your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Mukherjee has already joined.
Okay, very good. So it is Janardhan Reddy has come?
No, he will be joining within 15 minutes.
So
Maybe in the last we will get him, yeah.
Now you keep the Mr. Mukherjee at the last, so he will make some comments at the end. Sure, Tell him that he has to make some comments at the end.
Yeah, he is there. He can hear here.
Okay, sure. Okay, Dr. Maiti.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. And it's a great privilege for me to be with you and to have you in the same platform after a long time. And good afternoon to everybody. So coming to our topic, that is key concept on a commodity which is considered to be a golden cereal in our country, because it is, apart from the staple food, it also serves so many tidbits in our culture, starting from our birth to the demise. So now, as we have heard our learned speakers and all the points has been covered almost, and we have come to know that in a position we can tell that we are in self-sufficiency in our country for the production of this cereal, that's rice, with an annual growth rate of 1.67%. And this tremendous achievement was possible due to development of and use of high-yielding rice varieties, provisions of assured quality seeds supply in time, in proper quantity and proper variety, liberal application of fertilizers and pesticides, and focused institutional and policy support for rice crop production intensification. And making cheap rice available to millions of poor consumers is the single most important contribution made by our national system. But we need to keep on increasing the productivity growth to meet the future demand, projected demands. During the last decade, it was felt that we have exhausted the potential of the first Green Revolution strategies as we witness declining rice productivity in many ecologies of our country. So it was realized that farmers need new approaches and technologies to produce 50 to 60% more rice on existing or less land and water with limiting and expensive inputs. So the four factors that could be contribute to the further increase in rice productivity that has also already been mentioned also by Dr. Subbarao and other speakers. So first of all is developing new super rice varieties, including hybrids with higher yield potential, minimizing the yield gap between what is currently harvested by farmers and achievable highest on-farm yield of varieties they grow. Number three is reducing the post-harvest losses. That is also important, and improving grain quality to enhance the profitability. And bridging knowledge gap between researchers, extension workers, and farmers. So coming to the new varieties, high-yielding varieties, the potential yield of about 10 ton per hectare for presently available semi-dwarf indica rice varieties are available. An additional 10 to 15% increase in rice yields can be expected with the development of utilization of new plant types and tropical rice hybrids, which are currently being introduced in many Asian countries. The new plant type, popularly termed as the super rice by the media, are expected to yield about 12.5 ton per hectare. And development of hybrids using NPT could increase the yield further to 14 to 15 ton per hectare. But there are some issues with the hybrid rice, as also mentioned by Dr. Subbarao. And the proper implementation of 4-point strategy would enhance the spread of hybrid rice in tropical Asia and particularly in India. Number one, Dr. Subbarao also already mentioned that is the area of specialty where it can be grown or it can be promoted, and the seed production, the distance is very high. So the transport system is producing a hindrance. So the proper choice and improvement of partial parental lines for resistance to pests and diseases, as well better grain quality is important. Development of two-line hybrids, maintenance of genetic purity of parental lines of popular hybrids, and refinement of a seed production package. And the most important is hybridized technology should only be promoted in areas best suited for its cultivation. And that is Eastern India. And regarding the varieties, NRI has contributions in terms of climate smart varieties. And we are not talking about single stress tolerant, we are talking about multi-stress tolerant varieties. So we are now looking for multi-stress tolerant varieties because one variety should have, in some of the ecologies, some varieties should have drought tolerance in the initial stage and maybe some margin tolerance in the later stage. And also BLB tolerance in most of the ecologies. So among varieties, the recent varieties are climate smart varieties are CR 801 and 802. The biofortified varieties already mentioned by Dr. Subbarao, and from NRI, two varieties like 310 and 311 with high protein and high zinc. Low GI varieties like Shaktiman and improved Lalat. The super rice varieties like CR 307, which has witnessed to produce about 10 tons in farmers' field. And these should be associated with appropriate crop management and protection technology backup, and for which that NRI and IIRR and other institutes has developed the backup technology for that. And these are going to contribute in a big way to ensure the country's food and nutritional security in times to come. And coming to the seed supply, that has been also dealt with by Madam Swati. And for that, the seed supply to proper variety to farmers, the institute that NRI has come up with a new concept of 4S4R, that is self-sufficient sustainable seed system for rice, involving line departments, FPOs, farmers, and monitored by the institutions, which has been validated in 4 districts in Odisha and is now ready for extrapolation in other parts of the country. Now, the next point is the yield gap. There are different types of yield gaps. Gap between genetic potential and biologically attainable yields. Number 2 is variability in rice yields in different regions. That is highly present in our country. The gap between research station and farmer yields, that is called economically exploitable yields. And finally, the yield difference among the farmers in a given homogeneous environment. So for this, to address this yield gap, NRI has come up with 2 models, that is Inspire 1, innovative extension model for fast spread of varieties in rice ecosystems involving KVKs and state governments. And Inspire 2, that is innovative extension approach for spreading of ICE and SAU's technologies in rice ecosystems through NGOs, CSRs, and FPCs and FPOs. And apart from that, this institute is also involved in technical backstopping and monitoring of BGRAI, that is bringing green revolution to Eastern India, and RKVOI. And also there is a positive note mentioned by our chair, Professor Datta, that is even under this COVID pandemic, the agricultural system has shown positive growth rate, including rice. And this is possible for this has become possible due to a good monsoon and also return back of the labor from other sectors. Well, that they have come back, but with coming to the new normals, they may likely to go back unless we attract them to the rural areas. So there is a program of ARIA attracting rural youths to agriculture, and we should strengthen that to take the opportunity of having returned those labor force to the rural areas. And most of our KVKs are involved in that, and they are doing well with those, with attracting the rural youths, not only to agriculture, but also to other entrepreneurships, so that they can be attracted to towards this agriculture. And next, to meet the challenges, technologies with the production and post-production chains are important to support having the yield potential of the improved varieties. And that starts from land preparation and leveling and completes with byproduct utilization. And besides technology packages, recommendations, the institutes, that is NRI, has developed IT-based mobile apps in multi-languages, like Rice Expert, Rice and Expert, and Paddy Seed Expert for different stakeholders, so that they can get solutions without moving to the institutions. And coming to the profit gaps due to the post-harvest losses, about 20 to 25% of the harvested rice is lost before it reaches the consumers. The post-harvest losses in both quality and quantity lead to substantial profit gaps among the farmers. And improved processing, storage, and direct marketing will help farmers to increase their profits. And effective farmer organizations such as cooperatives can assist farmers in post-harvest processing and marketing. And recent move by the central government to develop 10,000 FPOs in India is expected to support in this issue extensively. The operations need to be meticulously followed for this purpose are harvesting, threshing, drying, milling, and grain quality. Next, coming to the bridging knowledge gaps between researchers, extension staff, and farmers, which include 6 major components, which are farmers' knowledge versus researchers' insights, knowledge gap between researchers and extension staff, farmer education, communication strategies, institutional policy and support, crop and resource management network. So having said those, there is a high variability in rice yields among countries and in regions within the country, as well as among the farmers, even in homogeneous domains. And the profit gaps arise due to post-harvest losses in quantity and quality of rice grain. Biophysical and socio-economical management, institutional and policy factors are responsible for yield and profit gaps. And the mitigation probable steps to address this broad constraint may be, number one, identification of problems or causes for such gaps and development of possible mitigation measures can only be considered the first step of two-step success. And the second step is also very equally important and is to minimize the knowledge gap between researchers, extension staff, and farmers by developing and using viable mechanisms to transfer new knowledge and techniques from researchers to farmers and collect feedback to reorient the research on issues critical to the farmers. That was also mentioned by Madam Thakur in her introductory address. So an integrated crop management approach, including water, soil fertility and nutrients, weeds, pest diseases, and post-harvest processes, is vital to maximize the productivity and profitability of rice farmers. All technologies and practices should be used synergistically to help farmers increase and maintain grain yields at the same to reduce cost. So improving the quality of milled rice and increasing the recovery of head rice will enhance farmers' profitability. So finally, we need to train the government, non-government, and private sector extension staff and equip them with adequate tools so that they can educate their farmers, clients, on modern rice farming. And farmers need adequate training and technical support to improve their decision-making capacity and properly utilize the new techniques. So that's all I wanted to share with you, and I stop it here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Maiti. You made a very nice presentation and raised the issue that as expected. Thank you very much. I'm sure in end of the presentation, there may be some questions started coming, and we need to get back to those questions. So, Madhumita, Madhupanna, do you have Dr. Janardhan Reddy? Thank you, Dr. Maiti. Madhupanna, is Dr. Janardhan Reddy is there?
Not yet, sir.
Then we take Mr. Satyabrata Mukherjee.
No, Mr. Tyagarajan has already spoken.
Who?
Mr. Tyagarajan Raman.
No, he is in the list. Okay. So, Mr. Okay, sorry, I missed it.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Tyagarajan, please go ahead.
Can I share a small presentation, sir?
Yes, sure.
Yeah,
Please,
sure.
please do so.
He is from Premier.
Madhupanna, where should you share is that the share is not coming down.
Okay.
One minute, I'm sharing.
Okay.
Visible? Visible, Madhu? The presentation?
It has come.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, very good evening to all the respected panelists and ICCI and all the most experts in the rice industry. And also I would like to thank ICC for giving me an opportunity to speak about we are a drip irrigation company. We are operating in major of the states in the country. I'm from Tamil Nadu. I'm looking after the Tamil Nadu's drip irrigation and sprinkler irrigation, where we get a great amount of support from the government. Now, I'm not a rice expert, Whatever data which I've got, I would like to share, but I would spend a little time on the rice. Then I'll go to the drip irrigation part of the rice. Yeah, now just now world production of 2021 will be about 501 million metric tons, and which is 1.6% of the annual expansion is happening. Globally, in the terms of hectares, if you see, about 163.2 million hectares rice is grown. And I've told India ranked second, but in the presentation I've been seeing that we are much behind. Other countries are ahead of us. I also like to share that West Bengal was one of the leading producer of rice. Punjab. Now in today's presentation, I came to know from the experts that Punjab is first, and UP is first, and Punjab is second. Of course, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh are coming with a very small contributions in the rice growing areas. Now, the current scenario, if you see the status and our challenge, India is the world's largest area under rice cultivation, about 45 million hectares, which is about 23% of global rice production. The status is the crop consumes about 40% of the total food grain output in India. Traditionally cultivated through flood irrigation. Most of the rice happens even today irrigation. Now, what are the challenges in front of us? It consumes 90% of the water used in agriculture. Right? The Ministry of Resources in 2008 shows the demand of water will overshoot a great amount of requirement. The majority of rice around the world is grown, you see, by very small holders who are having 1 acre, 2 acres, or less than that. And Punjab is number one in productivity, and followed by UP, and I think Tamil Nadu comes after that. Now is it an aquatic crop? Rice, we were talking on rice. No, it is not an aquatic. Reason is the paddy is basically fully submerged. It's a tolerant crop. The water creates unfavorable condition for wheat by cutting off sunlight. So rice farmer adopted the practicing the submerged paddy, which was followed by many years. To check the weeds. This was maybe it was started. Now, if you see the the water consumption of plants, if you just see paddy, paddy is consuming about 5,000 liters of water per kg, whereas other cereals is about 500 liters of water per kg of grain. In the traditional method, the traditional farming method, if you just go there, rice requires standing water. That are doing. Large amount of water is consumed here in this type of thing. And the square method of the rice is planted where you can say as the square method or the random method. The plant 6 to 9 seedlings per hill, we call it as. And in the SRI method, which is 150 lakh per hectare, to produce about 7 tons of rice is required. Now, the traditional cultivation, if you see in the traditional cultivation, basically the disadvantages of this type of this water flooding. I would like to tell this puddling destroys the soil structure, and it reduces the percolation rate also. Then loss of water and low porosity. The soil is also, the porosity is also becomes very less over there, and a soil flow pan is requirement formed in the under bottom. And of course, when there is a lot of water, the emission of methane gas, and which creates greenhouse gases. Now I'll go back to our subject. It is the drip irrigation method, which we have been trying for a couple of years, and we are keeping on trying, and we need a lot of support from government in terms of subsidy and in terms of various other support, so that many farmers go for a drip irrigation. This is a DSR field where it is fully covered, rice is covered by drip irrigation, where the laterals are laid. And I'll just explain to you much further in the coming slides. In the drip irrigation concept, what is the drip irrigation concept? The water is slow, even application of water at low pressures. It apply to the root zone. And we use a network of plastic pipes like PVC pipes or LLDP tubing, we call it as. That is the network used, which is placed around the ground level. We call it as a surface irrigation. Fourth is buried among root branches inside this forward kill soil at a certain depth. This is basically called subsurface drip irrigation, which is not tried in India for sugarcane, for rice, but we are doing it for sugarcane. But I came to know in Japan, the subsurface is being followed. And in this type of irrigation, we have to irrigate it daily. Every day, water is required. The volume of water equivalent to the evaporation transmission of the crop. We require through drip irrigation, we give the required amount of water per day to the plant. Now the spacing. You see the drip tubing. The drip tubing. This is the drip tubing, which is this is the distance between the two laterals is about 0.5 meters, and there is a paired row in between, and what is the discharge which is coming in the next slides? This is called the BBF system. This is how the drip is laid in between the rice plants. This is a flat system. I would like to just tell this a flat system. It's just showing a figure of that. And in the conventional system, you see the row to row, it is 0.3 meters. And 0.3 meters. And the rice, the seed rate per kg is about 5 to 20. And if you just see the plant, change the plant spacing, we make it 0.15 meter, is about 15 to 20 kg. And in the drip paired row method, which we tried in one of the districts in Tamil Nadu, we plant to plant was rate is about 5 kg per acre. This is the amount of seed which we are able to put in the drip irrigation method. You can just see a difference between the left side is the drip irrigated rice area, and the right side is the flood irrigated area. Another picture which shows where drip irrigation field, how it is. Now in the farm process, just the water requirement we just want to tell. During the land preparation, we need about 150 to 200 mm of water is required. And in second stage during evaporation, evapotranspiration, about to a maximum of 1200 mm water is required here. And the seepage of percolation, it was about 700 mm goes off during this cycle. And mid-season drainage will be about 100 mm. And total requirement we say is about 2200 mm of water is required for paddy. And not much now. What I would this is the just this the harvesting, it is done. We did a variety of trials in Tamil Nadu about just in one of the farm. It's about 2,600 kg of yield we got in a 0.67 acre of land, which comes to about 3,880 kg for 1 acre. This we did about 2-3 years back, and that's how this has happened. And anyway, we are trying it in a very small way, but unless we get a good support from the government, like in giving a good amount of subsidy for drip irrigation, and then more and more farmers will come, because the farmers believe that flood is the only answer. But maybe in the coming years, after years, we will not have water. So its time has come that many farmers should go for drip irrigation, and government should start supporting them. And I'm not taking much time. There's some of the plots which we did in Tamil Nadu. It's a paddy. We gave a 16 mm with a 4 LPH. The dripper spacing was 50 centimeters to a farmer called Ramalingam. We have tried out drip of paddy for about 0.67 acres. Drip is suitable for paddy. Water saves about 80%. When we do it, 80% is we can save. No standing water is required. The 50 centimeter inline is required. The rice variety where we tried, which from is a TNU, is a basmati where we tried here. One row of dripping takes about 2 rows of paddy. I mean, the lateral to lateral should be about 4 feet or 1.22 meters. The farmers feel that in the practical experience, 1.5 meter will work well in a clay loam soil. This was the inputs, the feedback we got from a few farmers. This farmer initially, the farmer irrigated per day for the first 30 days, and later on, it was done half an hour every day. And finally, the yield was 2,600 kg was got. How the farmer was benefited out of this is one of the stories which we would like to share. Just I would also like to share this. When we started giving drip irrigation, when we started promoting drip irrigation 20 years back, when we went to many farmers in the villages, and in fact, that time it's all flood irrigation. Farmers were not accepting drip irrigation for even coconut or in vegetables. I mean, they chased us out of the village. What are you talking? Today, all the farmers, all the villages are about 80% or 85% is covered by drip irrigation. So now time has come that slowly, with a lot of support from the government, we should promote this drip irrigation through government institutions, through various private institutions, and make more and more farmers follow this drip irrigation in the future, so that we will have our greatest challenge will be water in the coming years. So this was some of the observations what I would like to just see. The psychological benefits. More number of effective tillers by doing drip irrigation. The number greater over here. And the panicle length and the number of grains per panicle are higher. The grain weight is more. The root is extensive and healthy. So these are some of the observations, benefits we saw. And this is sustainable. This is the irrigation, the difference between flood irrigation. 1 hectare of flood and 1 hectare, just a comparison. The flood uses about 23,750 meter cube water, whereas in a drip, it's only 8,000 meter cube is required. The yield is 7,000, is 8,500. Of course, it is debatable, but this is how some of our studies are going. And the selling price, of course, it keeps on changing. Just for a small percentage, we have made it. I would just skip on because many experts are here. I've learned a lot of things today, and this is sustainable paddy production. Just the conservation of water, energy, and fertilizer. Drip irrigation, enhanced yield by about 1 to 1.5 times more, 20% more rice using 66% less water. Actually, you consume less water over here, and your output is more over here. And liter per hectare compared to flood irrigation, where it is 23.5 million per hectare. This is one of the things. Using 52% less power. Of course, again, under drip irrigation, a lot of power is saved. Unlike your flood irrigation, where the farmer keeps on pumping, keeps on using the motor, there is a huge cost saving in the power or in the power consumption also. Some of the holistic benefit, which I would like to just highlight a few points. The rice roots are submerged, so 90% lesser arsenic intake is there, which some of the panelists were speaking. Of course, pollution control, the absence of pollution from leached and washed nitrate over here. The soil health maintains aerobic condition of the soil. Environment, you see there is more water, lower mosquito population in the ecosystem. Humidity, reduced humidity in microclimate. Greenhouse gases, we know that lesser methane and nitrous oxide gas emissions leading to lower global warming. Make every drop a water count. And thank you for all. With a little experience, I would like to put in a few points here. So thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you very much, sir. Hello?
Sorry. Thank you very much, Dr. Thiagarangan Raman, for your excellent presentation, and particularly your highlighted drip irrigation. We have been time that whether rice should be treated as aquatic crop and how long, and when there is so much water needed, and when there is no need of that water. Earlier it was used as a practice because traditionally water is available, but today we have to design everything, design a crop, design a agriculture system. So I think the modern look need to be paid attention for this rice crop. And your thought on drip irrigation could be a very important aspect for future driving force for producing quality rice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now, I guess our special guest and special speaker, Mr. Satyabrat Mukherjee, agriculture specialist, and also director, Mahasharda Cold Storage Private Limited, is with us. A long time, my friend, and also friend of lots of agriculture scientists. So, Mr. Mukherjee, what are you?
Yes. No, yes, I am here.
So we are waiting to listen to your
No, actually, sir, thank you very much. Under your
concluding
chair.
thoughts.
No, basically concluding thoughts, whatever you have said, sir, all the scientists and the research workers. From the business point of view, I have very 2-3 small points just to have your guideline. Number one, that we are exporting basmati rice, a good quantity. We are also exporting very low grade rice to African countries. In between, we tried to export aromatic rice, Govind Bhog and other few aromatic rice in some of the European countries. The problem is that the aroma of this aromatic rice, we cannot hold it for more than few weeks after the harvesting and after the processing. Whether from the research institute, you can have some sort of project, how the aroma also could be withheld and also the aroma can be kept if we are really using it over a period of 3 to 4 months, 5 months. Our practical experience with Govindo Bhog and with Tulai Panji, we have seen that maximum for a period of 1 month, the aroma could be sustained within the grain. So that is one area. If the scientists, those who are working very seriously on research, because I have heard all of you, so from the common, because the farmer's income, that is the mandate of the government. Of the farmer's income, we have to give them some specialized product through which really they can have their income, they can increase. So for the aromatic rice, the scientists, if they give little time and also some work on that area, that will give us and to the farmers and also the business people to deal with this. Because, sir, you know that 20 years back, the quantity of basmati rice was much less. With the help of the ICR and IRI and CRRI, now the quantity has gone up. So this one area I was trying to focus about the sustaining this aroma of the aromatic rice other than basmati, which grown in eastern part of the country. Second thing, that for the export of our rice, we have no knowledge that how Thailand is supplying rice to different westernized world and which are the variety they are supplying. Because in India, the variety what at present we are growing, whether in east or west or south or central, for basically for Indian consumption. We have seen that the food corporation, they are holding huge amount of stock. But really, if we can give them some new variety which also can be exported, so that will help us to increase the income and also increase the commercial part of the rice cultivation. So these are the two basic points I thought of, because when CRRI, now NIRI, Dr. Maiti is there, you are also there, and some other scientists also they are working on this. I know that exporting rice is not at all desirable because we are exporting water. We are not exporting rice. But within the little framework, if something can be done, that will help to increase the income of the farmers. So these are the basic few points I wanted to update and bring it to your notice. as a research worker, as a research scientist from your farm and from your research organization, if you can help, that will be a great help for the rice growers and rice exporters. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee. As usual, you always give a very different kind of thoughts and raise questions. Before I invite other members for their comments in response to some certain questions and comments raised by different other panelists, or some questions might be coming also from the other participants. So let me answer to Mukherjee, Mr. Mukherjee. Mr. Mukherjee, are you there? Mr. Mukherjee? Well, he raised the questions that the aroma disappears and it does not last long. So the quality of rice, even if produce or make higher production, but certain quality disappears. Why? And how to retain that quality of aroma? This is one question. And the second one is that Vietnam is for a long time sustaining in exporting very high quality rice. What kind of rice they are exporting? So the second answer of the second question is Vietnam normally exports Kaudak Mali 105, very high quality aromatic rice, and they don't. Their yield is not that very high, but they maintain the quality in the same way, and they produce this particular rice under the same conditions. So they can keep the quality intact, and they can keep their exporting market also intact. What happened in India, our Indian high quality basmati rice earlier, the basmati 370, or many other varieties, but that varieties yield was very low, but the quality of the aroma and other quality trait were very much high. While we made a very high productive basmati, so these particular aroma or the genes that express the aroma somehow become inactive or inactivated, resulting that we loses the aroma of our rice variety, which is also applicable for other aromatic rice. Now, if you want to retain the aroma and the quality as we traditionally used to get it, we have to produce this particular type of rice in the same manner, same condition, without any alteration of the surrounding environment. And that needs a special attention and to maintain that high quality rice. But in future, the modern science also allows us to incorporate or to continue the genes, stabilize that genes that give the expression of the aroma into the high yielding varieties, so that we ensure that the gene expression and integration is there. At the same time, the genes for higher yield also integrated along with the genes for aroma. In that way, the modern science of plant breeding can ensure that quality as well as quantity together. And this is possible, and your idea to have some research on those aspects is definitely commendable. And otherwise, we would lose the great quality of our traditional or ancient rice. So, another point I would like to mention in this context, Japan, Korea, these are the countries, they pay a lot of attention for their traditional rice as well as the quality of the rice. Like Basmati, we are exporting 30,000 crore. We are earning by exporting rice, Basmati rice yearly, which are about more than $4 billion US, much more than entire our rice or agriculture research that we do in the country in R&D. But unfortunately, like in Japan, they have a Koshikari Foundation. Koshikari, their premier rice, like our Basmati rice, but they have their Koshi Foundation, and then the foundation allows all the quality rice, including Koshi curry, to be maintained, and the science and the research need to be incorporated. So they can trace back the hundreds or few hundred years back of their rice in the same way and the modern rice. Even we earn so much of money, even we gain so much of money by exporting basmati rice, but we do not have a similar type of foundation what Japan has. I think APEDA and other funding agency or those involved in agriculture might pay attention into this particular aspect. Now, any other panelists or specialists who would like to make any comment? Hello, Dr. Dipankar Maiti or Dr. Variyar or Dr. Shubharao, or any other questions from any scientist or any panelist?
Sir, I would like to say something about the retention of aroma in basmati. What has happened, the modern varieties that we have now, compared to the basmati 370, which is 4020 and matures later under a temperature that is very congenial, where the aroma is trapped within the grain. The modern improved semi-dwarf basmati or the derivatives, they are maturing early at a temperature which is higher than the basmati 370 is maturing. I suspect that there is a loss of aroma because of the higher temperature. That could be a possibility. I'm not sure, but experts.
You're probably mentioning that particularly the night temperature needs to be low.
Yes.
That way to allow the quality rice with particular aroma.
Yeah.
The modern basmati actually grow everywhere. Everywhere, anywhere you can grow them. Pusha basmati 1121, you can grow anywhere. It does not have the same conducive environment that basmati 370 or other traditional basmati we have. Temperature in the night that gives the high quality.
Sir, sir, not only low temperature, it should be dry, sir. Dry and low. These two are the important factors, sir.
Right.
And for this matter, APEDA also is taking up this type of work. I mean, they're taking the responsibility of having such type of work, which you have referred to as Japan. So the APEDA is now looking after that.
Well, I'll be happy to see the Koshi Curry Foundation type of something in India happens with the same sort of funding and sort of respect for rice science
scientists and growers
and culture too.
Yes.
Mr. Mukherjee, কিছু বলবেন আপনি?
No, thank you, sir. No. We have talked about basmati. In between, what I was trying to impress upon about this local aromatic rice, which is popularly known as Govindo Bhog and Tulai. The research worker, I have brought it to their notice. Whenever they get chance, definitely they will try to look into it. I am my firm belief is there.
Yes. Right.
So thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee.
Thank you.
Your thoughtful comments and the questions and suggestion you made.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Madhuparna, Madam Madhuparna, is there anything else? Hello. I think our scientific and technical session comes to an end. I think we have covered all the speakers' presentation and certain questions and comments, what comes out. And you can see, but
I have one point to make.
Yeah, please.
Now also ICR is thinking of growing sticky rice in some of the areas like Northeast and Himachal Pradesh, and getting exported to countries where it has demand.
Yes, you are correct.
Our taste is changing. Our taste is changing. We also now trying to get a different kind of taste. So that kind of value addition or that different kind of taste of rice would be an useful way of expanding our rice. It's a good point. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Maiti, what he has mentioned, it is very correct. The sticky rice has a very good market potential, and really that will help the farmers to increase the income.
And also, ICR has taken up as a mission mode. We are all started working on that.
Good.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that we have heard. Thank you, sir.
Where is Madhuparna?
Sir, I am here.
Okay.
Sir, there are some more questions, sir. If you could kindly take it up.
Why are there questions? You raise these questions.
Sir, there is one question. What solution for salty water making roots clogged even through filters changed on regular basis? I think Mr. Tyagarajan can answer this question.
Yeah. Basically, even in any normal drip irrigation system, the salt is a basic problem everywhere. It is there where when we pump water through borewell. So what we suggest people, the farmers, once in 3 months, it has to be cleaned by hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid. You just have this sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid mixed with water, and a particular concentration is mixed, and we train the farmers and we give it leave it in the field for one night, and next day you on the motor and flush out, all the salt is clearly gets dissolved and goes away. So we call it as an acid treatment test. It is even for our normal vegetables or any sugarcane crop or any crop where we are doing drip irrigation. Wherever the salt is more, at least once in 3 months, the farmer has to do an acid treatment. So all the salt is get dissolved over there. And further, if we have got networks throughout India. If the panelists or farmers have us, we can help them and we can solve it also. We can train the people how to do this. It's a very simple test, and we can train them very very well. We have good network in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu also. We can do it for them, and you can give my number to the concerned panelist, and we can help them out. Thank you very much.
Share your number in the chat box.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sir, another question that they're asking Mr. Hiten Breman. They are asking that we have been promoting SRI method of paddy cultivation through a foundation called Deshpande Foundation in Nizamabad. The results have been a bit encouraging. Field visits, we come across common problem of transplanting and de-weeding.
Now, who would like to answer these questions? That foundation is growing that SRI, which is fine. If they get a good result, which is encouraging, and wherever the control irrigation is available, the adoption of SRI can be done, but only certain condition, only it can be utilized in the country. What are the next questions?
Lot of rice grain is being produced. Lot of rice grain is being produced in India, but sufficient storage facilities are not available for storage, as well as no proper policy of distribution of stored grain procurement by FCI. Can something be suggested for storage?
Okay, we can put it in our recommendation. There is no one spoke on that subject, so that's a good point.
Yes.
We can raise that issues, and Well, tomorrow there will be a discussion.
Tomorrow, yeah, there we will be discussing on this.
Milling and processing, that matter also can be added to that.
Yes, sir. Okay. Another question they are asking about rice milling, which we can take tomorrow.
Yes,
Sir,
again,
somebody, yeah. Sir, like sugarcane, rice is also a water guzzling crop. Many states have made micro irrigation compulsory. Water conservation is very important globally, and India is no exception. Hence, scientists should look into it. Use of MI for rice cultivation.
well, like drip irrigation, micro irrigation is also certain experiments is coming up. But
Yes,
wherever there is a water is available, like Eastern India, that water should be utilized, not to make a more costly way of rice cultivation. But wherever the water is not there, and this water, or particularly upland rice and others, ecosystem where water is scarce and water is not available, micro irrigation or drip irrigation could be an alternative that can be utilized. Yes, the suggestion is also good.
Okay, sir, last question. Sir, need to study the milling yield of rice, even at large scale, cooking quality and acceptability prior to release of newer varieties. In addition, the product making qualities, if studied, would enable to target the introduced variety as suitable for, say, for example, making rice flakes.
Yeah, I think is it Dr. Maiti or Dr. Shubha Rao would like to make any comments?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Maiti or Dr. Shubha Rao? Before releasing the variety, the quality of the rice need to be seen, and which is obvious question. I think all the parameters are being considered, I'm sure, but you can make any other comment.
Yes, Dr. Shubhara also can substantiate, because before releasing, there are few criteria which have to be maintained, like head rice recovery. That is the main one.
Now, I think particularly the quality.
Suitability for the flakes.
Yeah.
He's asking about suitability for flakes.
Right.
Sir, till now, we never had any such criteria, sir. Some varieties are, I think, by accidentally they are found that they are suitable for flakes and all. Sir, as of now, we don't have any a proper breeding program for breeding varieties for the flaky rice.
I think the question probably the question is trying to address that whether we pay any attention to make certain varieties that could be good flex quality. So I think as probably not, but I think this is an important question actually. The specialty rice, we may also pay attention for that type of rice to produce or to go for certain that can be incorporated in the high-yielding variety.
Sir, definitely that is a very good suggestion. In fact, sir, till now we never gave any importance to puffed rice or rice flakes while variety is released. No, certain universities or institutions are specifically releasing varieties which are suitable for either puffed rice or flaky rice. But now I think this is a good suggestion. I think we should incorporate this point while releasing whether it is suitable for puffed rice or baking flakes and all. Poha, I think she means poha. Sir, till now it is not incorporated, sir. So when the breeder develops, he tries to give the information that my variety is suitable and all. In very rare cases they are giving. Otherwise, nobody is furnishing that information, sir. Henceforth, I think we should introduce this point also to furnish the information on value added. Value added.
as a specialty rice for the flex, as a specialty rice for this
Right, sir,
particular
right.
quality and character. Yeah, I think it's a good suggestion.
This really useful suggestion.
Okay.
So, sir, no more questions. Sir, you can give a brief summing up and we can close the session after that.
I don't think there is any entire sum up is required. I think today's presentation and the inaugural session was very highlighted with a few very important questions that in spite of this corona pandemic, rice productions has not decreased, rather has increased. And the prediction for the next year is also higher. So that means we don't need to be cautioned, or we don't need to be worried about the rice production. And it is very important. And if you remember in Telangana Rice Summit, Chandrababu Naidu, while he was giving an inaugural talk, he mentioned something that the country achieved food security, but we need to now look for farmer security. And I think that this summit, when highlighting the quality rice production, the processing, the international market access, and other technological adaptation, etc., which is befitting that today's address also was mentioning all of these areas, that how to get a quality rice production increased, how we can make it more profitability. Already Basmati rice got a profit, but there are certain issues that Mr. Mukherjee raised, that aroma is decreasing, disappearing. So ultimately, end of the day, that also we are compromising the quality, certain quality, not everything. I think this is important, that food to the farmer security as well as production need to be continued, and wherever it is needed, quality need to be incorporated, value addition need to be added, and the processing and other areas with the social aspect, there are a few presentations that addresses that issues, and that also need to be addressed. So all as an integrated approach of rice production, productivity increase, quality issues, marketing, and at the same time the processing in such a manner so that the rice as a staple crop, food crop, as well as the culture, which is so integrated with the Indian agriculture, Indian culture, must continue in a better way. And I'm sure a few areas that certain question came that would be addressed tomorrow morning, and which will complete the entire scenario of rice today in India as well as beyond today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Tomorrow we will be starting our session at 10:30 morning, and we will be discussing on the rice milling, processing, and marketing and export. So all are requested, all the delegates are requested to join us tomorrow sharp at 10:30. And some of the dignitaries of today will also be with us tomorrow. All are welcome. Thank you very much. We thank all our sponsors, all our speakers, government dignitaries, and special thanks to Professor Sapan Datta, who have been supporting us towards this initiative of ICC. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.